Welcome back, everyone, to another video. It seems like the world of Colorado football seems to be busy. There's been a lot of movement. There have been several commitments. There have been decommitments as well, or people who are reversing their choices. You have the offensive lineman who transferred from Indiana, who initially wanted to come to Colorado but reversed and is going to Oregon. I don't know if it's Oregon State or Oregon. It was one of the two, but the point I'm making that he's not coming to Colorado. It's not a big deal. It happens everywhere. It happens everywhere in college football. You have recruits who commit verbally, and then they end up sometimes decommitting and leaving, saying, "Okay, I want to go elsewhere." But the problem that I have with what's going on with Colorado is that Coach Prime is too much in haste to build a credible program so quickly. And I'm not here to dissuade anybody from doing it their way, if that's the way he wants to do it, but there comes some blowback because of that. There's a repercussion that takes place when you try to go at it the fast way. The fast approach is not always the best approach. And with that being said, if he's trying to build through the portal, there's a drawback with that because there's not enough time to build team chemistry. A lot of these teams that are great, it takes about 3 years to build the chemistry. You have a group of men that are being recruited by a coach. You don't have a large influx of players that are coming in. Now, the first year that Coach Prime got there, he had the opportunity to, well, I'm not going to say he eliminated. Let's just say, politically correctly, he influenced a lot of men to leave. And then he did cut a lot of players. He did, he told them he was bringing in his Louis luggage. And the majority of the players either left and some of them were cut. And you can see the interview on Fearless, on Jason Whitlock's channel. He interviewed two ex-Colorado players, and they talked about the process. One of them, especially, he elaborated on how the process went. He was called in and told his services at Colorado were no longer needed. So if Coach Prime's approach is to build through the portal, that's great. But in order for that to be sustained, you have to have a stable locker room. You have to have a locker room that's stable, that's not full of distractions. I believe that the branding and the persona of Coach Prime in and of itself is too big for Colorado. He is a brand in and of itself. It's almost analogous to adding two brands together. So it's no different than Coach Prime. Let's say you're bringing in, you have Colorado, but then Colorado State wants to be Colorado. It doesn't make sense. There's a conflict that's there. And I think that's what's happening with Colorado football. I don't think that Colorado is going to be successful with Coach Prime being the coach, especially with how hastily he's moving in terms of trying to have success while his son is there. He only has one more year to get this done. He came in last year with his son being a junior. His son's going to be a senior next football season. So he's pushing all the chips in the middle of the table. He's going for broke on this one. And I think that with that approach, it can have a big blowback because building a team is not just a talent. Building a team is building team chemistry, is the development of the offensive line. It's a culture that's established. It's hard to establish a culture that quickly. And the culture that's currently being established right now doesn't bode well for long-term success in terms of sustainability. It's flashy, it's great, it moves the emotional meter, it gets a lot of people on, it gets people to click, it gets people to look into what's going on. Every time a recruit decides to come to Colorado, it's flashed on social media, you get a picture, you get a lot of notoriety, which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is that building through the portal with the majority of your team coming through the portal, you're getting a bunch of guys coming out of different places at once, and you want to win at once with that mixture. Most teams, most college programs have a large majority of their team already stable. And if they do get new players, it's either some through recruitment and some through the portal. It's not a majority of their team coming together at once. So what's going to happen with Colorado next football season is going to be similar to what happened this year. You get a large influx of talent through the portal. You get some recruits that are freshmen, 4 or 5-star athletes, and you're going to get the same thing because there's no team chemistry. There's no team camaraderie at all. There's just a bunch of talent that's thrown together. Then to add more confusion to it, you're going to have new coaches that are going to be coaching players that they're not used to. And I'm not saying it can't be done; it could be done. But we're talking about having success long term to build a program. See, you're not trying to build a season. This is not NFL where it's just 1 year and then next year you try again. When you're building a program, hence the term it being called a program means that it's something that takes 3 to 5 years to build. Any program that's being implemented in any arena, it's a process that takes place. First of all, you come in with the inaugural steps, then you come in with the secondary steps, then you move to the third tier, then you move to the fourth tier. And the higher you go on the tiers, the better your team is solidified as being, this is what we are. And I think that the mistake that Coach Prime is making, he feels as if that his personality and his way, his gift of gab and his marketing brand could attract young African-American athletes to his university, which it can, but it takes much more than just the talent in and of itself to win, when other teams in your conference have talent as well. You can't hoard the talent in one sitting. Nick Saban didn't turn Alabama around in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. It took time. Now he's built a powerhouse. So if you want to build a powerhouse, you have to be in for the long haul, which is why I've came to my, conclusion, or I should say my inference, is that Coach Prime is not going to be there for the long haul. He's not going to be there for the long haul because he's not playing or planning his schemes or planning his strategies as a coach that's going to be there for the long haul. He wants success now while his son is there, preferably Shiloh Shador and Travis Hunter. He wants success. If not a national championship, which I don't see it happening next year, at least a reputable bowl game. And I think after that, I don't know where else Prime can go, because if this is his approach that he's going to be taking year to year, it's going to be hard to win to establish a long-term sustainable program that's respected, that can actually in and of itself build a machine where players want to come there. I think right now players want to come there because of the notoriety and the flash that they're getting. But if they're not winning games, if games are not being won, but they're getting all the flash, it actually irritates people the more. See, if you come in humble and you're not winning games, you tend to fly underneath the radar. But when you bring all the attention upon yourself and you're not winning games, there's a problem there. It's not going to be good. You're going to get a lot of backlash. So to me, the same thing's happening this year that happened last year. He came in last year with his Louis luggage. New players, new recruits, had great running backs. Offensive line was sketchy. So now he's allegedly on paper, his offensive line has improved. Coach Prime's offensive line has improved to protect his son Shador. But there's more to a football team than just the offensive line, as I've stated before. So even when I hear of players that are coming in, they say, a transfer, a wide receiver, or a 4-star wide receiver from this high school, or this receiver. I don't believe. Now, you can never have too much talent, but I don't believe that the focus of Colorado should be on the skilled players. It shouldn't be. They have enough receivers. They still have, what's the guy's name, the freshman that had an unbelievable game, one game this season. Olivia, something like that. He was a freshman. He's coming back. You still have Jimmy Horn Jr. You have Xavier Weaver left. They have receivers, folks. They have Travis Hunter, who plays receiver. The receiving core is intact. And it's not about getting the talent to win. It's about establishing a program with the talent that inevitably will equate to wins. But trying to win too quickly can, if you're not patient, can cause unrest in the locker room, civil unrest, because you end up having a divided locker room. Because inevitably what occurs when you're not winning, when you think you're supposed to win, especially when you're trying to rush it, you start to play the blame game. Because in your head, you already have it fixated in your mindset. You're perceiving the season to be a success. And you know that you've gotten your offensive line issues rectified to a degree. And now you believe that your son has the protection that he needs. Again, I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. If you don't establish a balanced offense while you're in a rebuild, you're going to suffer. No coach comes into a program, okay, being run heavy without passing or being pass heavy without running. You have to at least establish some sort of a balanced game, a respectable, balanced football attack. And then as you start to build your program year after year, you start to see that, okay, the strength that I have is in my offensive line in terms of run blocking. I'm going to be a running team. Or the strength of my team is they're great offensive linemen in regards to pass blocking. I'm going to do a lot of pass plays and sometimes throw in a run, keep the defense off balance, and sometimes I can do play action off the run, to get big chunk plays down the field. So it just depends on what Coach Prime wants. But I try to win with, you can gain talent through the portal. Yes, you can. Not saying that, but I find it hard to believe because you've seen it. And I know basketball is different from college football. College basketball is different from college football. But how many times have we seen it in the NCAA tournament, where a team who clearly has more talent comes to play a team that's been put together? They've played together for some time. They've built a culture. They play as a team, and that team beats the team that's more talented. That's what I see going on with Colorado. I feel like they can get all the talent that they want. All right, on a level as great as on a steroid level, they can get the talent. They can get the speedsters, the big offensive linemen. They can get all of that. But chemistry, there's something that goes unspoken in terms of how impactful team chemistry can be towards a team when you're playing a team sport. Now, individual sports like golf or tennis, do whatever the hell you want. Get the best person, the best man wins. Boxing, the best man wins. But man, when you're playing a team sport where your success is contingent upon what somebody else does, a quarterback can throw the perfect pass, but the receiver has to catch it. The receiver can run the perfect route, but the quarterback has to throw the ball where the receiver can catch it. The running back can be the fastest running back in the world, but the offensive linemen have to open the holes for that running back to run through. So it's a synergistic game that one feeds off of another. You can't win that way without the chemistry. And the talent is going to be there on the field. You're going to see bursts of how great they can be. Similar how you saw Colorado play this year. We had moments, especially early on in the season, when you're like, wow, I see what this team can be. But you also saw a coach who got in and ahead of himself, who got too crazy, like, hey, my son is great. We're going to just keep passing to put him in the Heisman talks. And I think that's where Prime lost focus. When you're into branding and you're thinking about the future of your personal brand and your personal family name, then it clouds judgment. Then the football team in Colorado and the other players that are not directly your bloodline, they just become collateral damage to your path to success, or your path to your endeavor, or a path to your ambition. You're not looking at them the same way you look at your son. You're not. But that's the way you have to be as a coach. And it's hard to do. It's hard for coaches to coach their son and see all the players like their own son. That's why most coaches don't have their son on the team. Not every coach has the luxury of having their son playing Division Power 5A, Division Power 5 football, and that son has a pivotal role on the team in terms of how successful or lack thereof the team can be. That's the position that Coach Prime is in. So you can see how difficult it is for Coach Prime. And I'm going to be objective. It is difficult because when you have a passion for your son, your child, daughter or son, whatever, and they're in the sport and you're the coach of it, and the role they play on that team is critical and paramount to the team's success, it's going to cloud your judgment. That's why I really want to see how, but he's always coached Shedeur. So that's why I don't see how he would, like, once Shedeur leaves for the NFL, I don't know. How will Coach Prime coach then? Will he come back to his senses and not want to pad the stats of the next quarterback who's in line? Because at that point, that's not your son anymore, Coach Prime. Are you still going to be that adamant about protecting the quarterback who comes after Shedeur? Or is protecting Shedeur the main thing because he's your son? Because you want to, you have an agenda here. And which is fine. Everyone has a right to pursue family greatness and increase their wealth. But when you're doing it on the back of a program, it tends to show itself on the field. You can't hide it. So Prime is doing a good job of taking the good with the bad. He understands what he's doing, and he doesn't really care, and he should not care. He shouldn't care about my opinion, Jason Whitlock's opinion, or anybody else's opinion. He should do whatever the hell he wants to do. But just do know that whatever you do, the universe does speak, and things do happen as an aftermath. You have natural and logical consequences that occur due to our actions. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, there's a lot of movement. I don't want to report on every movement. I'm sure you guys are getting it through through social media. There are many other guys that have channels that are talking about Colorado football, about who's committing and who's coming. But what I do know, with all the traffic that's going on, it's going to be very difficult to establish a team culture, especially when you have less than, I don't know, when does the football season start? We're going into January. Usually, March, May. What time does it start? I'm not sure, but I know you don't have that long to have a bunch of players come together and you build a winning team. You can build a successful team that has, potential, that shows glimpses and flashes of how great they can be, but to sustain that is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. The intangible aspects of a team, to me, at many times in team sports, outweighs the tangible things that we can see. We can see someone's speed. We can see someone's strength on the field. We can see those things. But it's the unspoken things and the things that are not seen that carry much more weight. That thing called chemistry and team camaraderie and the culture established in the locker room is very vital. But the culture to me in Colorado is just it's flash. It's too hype. It's elevated. It's like empty foods that have empty calories, empty caloric foods. You mean, like, the food is big, but there's no really nutritional density in the food. It looks big, but when you eat it, you're hungry again. And I think that's what Colorado is. They are huge, right? The black and gold, the flash, Coach Prime, the glasses, the hoodies, the charisma, the way he talks. He keeps it real. He speaks Ebonics. He speaks to the reporters. He's making white people feel uncomfortable. He's doing his thing. Okay, we get it. But after all of that, and after all the smoke settles, how do you look on the football field? Are you actually winning games? And I think the pressure to win games is going to be at an all-time high this year. And I just hope that the flash goes down and the winning goes up. I don't give a damn about the flash. If you can have the best of both worlds, great for you. If you can have the flash and the winning, good. But it's hard when you're coming in and you're new. This is going to be your second year at Colorado, to keep up the flash, because you're going to create a bigger target on your back, Coach Brian. I will come in humble. People already know who you are. People know who your son is. I think this first year at Colorado, you've done a good job of putting your name out there. You had commercials. Your son was in commercials. You were on ESPN First Take. You've been on Undisputed. You've been on 60 Minutes. Trust me, people know who you are. So this year, just be humble. Keep it down. Keep your head down, and just focus on the team. Focus on your personnel, and try your best to move away from your personal agendas that you have towards your son. And then again, who am I to be giving Coach Prime advice, right? I haven't coached anything. I'm not. I haven't coached anything. But I don't think that anybody is above considering a suggestion. You don't have to do exactly what people tell you to do, but you can consider it. It's coming from somewhere. We're all speaking to each other. We're all one, coming from the same source, but having different multiple experiences, or different experiences through the vessels we have. The frequency and the energy that we emit, that we give to one another, has to be considered. You can't just dismiss anything that's put down. It's not by coincidence or by accident that I'm saying this, and I'm sure other people share the same sentiments as I have towards Coach Prime and CU football, Colorado University football. So I hope the season goes well. I'm keeping up with what's going on. It's a lot of moving parts, and some are going to decommit, some are going to commit. It is what it is. But it's just way too much movement for my liking. I would have liked for most of the players to have remained, but I know it doesn't work that way in football. So we're going to have to actually view the second year of Coach Prime like it's his first year again, because that's what's happening. He took 2 steps forward and took 2 steps back, so he's back at square one. The experiment in first year didn't work. It didn't work. Not because they lost games, as I've always repeated on the other videos. It's how they lost the games. It's how they looked. It's how broken his son looked toward the last quarter of the season. Could barely walk with a fractured back. whatever was wrong with his back. And he had rumors going around that it wasn't a fractured back, that it was something else. Look, whatever he had, it was bad enough where he couldn't play the last game of the season. And he should not have even played the last 4 games of the season, in my opinion. The season was already done. Why would you even want them to play in a bowl game to get blown the hell out? That's what would have happened. If they even got to a bowl game, they would have got blown the hell out. They were losing every game that they played. It's embarrassing. Louis does not want losing to be attached to its name. When you think of Louis, you think of success. When someone has a Louis bag, you're like, oh, they got a Louis bag. That's something that brings upon some type of, I don't know, a degree of respect, so to speak, if I could use that term. It's like, oh, so somebody has a Louis bag, so obviously they have money. It's a nice bag. It's known to be a beautiful bag, yada, yada, yada. So you bring in Louis and you're losing. Louis and losing don't go together. All right? They don't mix. When you bring Louis, you win. So we know what you're about, Coach Prime. I just want to see. I'm really, really eager to see how the product of the field is going to look next football season. I'm really looking forward to that because I really want to see how it looks. Because there are many players that are coming and leaving, and I think that just from my experience alone, we've seen it in the NBA, we've seen it everywhere. When you bring a bunch of talent, it usually doesn't work. It really doesn't work. You have to look at the local talent. You got to bring in talent one at a time and build the culture slowly. Coach Prime is impatient. He's not waiting. He gets what he wants now. Look at the Clippers. They put a bunch of Hall of Famers together that were struggling. Look at the Miami Heat the first year they came together when LeBron James was like not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. They barely got 2. So it's difficult to win, and it's difficult to win big in any level of competition, let alone the Power 5 conferences. And we'll see how it goes, but I hope that they do well, and I'm just eager to see the product on the field. And I'm gonna be watching out to see if they get any more commitments that's gonna help the team. Talent is always needed, but developing that talent and keeping that team together as a whole, as a unit, is gonna be more important. But I just think it's gonna be very difficult to do when you're just bringing in a mixed match of a lot of guys and you're just throwing them together in a pot. You have a gumbo of a team and you're supposed to make everything just go. We'll see. All right, thank you guys for listening in. All right, till I make another one, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I'll be coming back with another video. All right, thank you guys for listening. Bye.